Okay, well, in the broadcast section there, we'll move on to the embargo section at 10:30 p.m. on Sunday. Tom?
Just one on, kind of on Basuma, but on nitrous oxide specifically. It's something that was made illegal last year, but he's definitely not the first and probably won't be the last player to take it. How much of a problem is it, that specific thing in football, and how much more can clubs be doing to warn players? Because the fact that he wasn't, that he filmed himself is quite a unique circumstance where he didn't realise the consequences of his action.
Yeah. I mean, look, how prevalent it is, I don't know, mate, because it's a world away from my kind of life. But I think the best way is just awareness and education. I think and understanding the ramifications of making those kind of decisions. Because, like I said, there's the personal ramifications. Because, like I said, it's illegal. So there's a significant price to pay there. And I'm sure, Biss is like every other human being. He's got people in his life who love him, parents, and they certainly wouldn't want to see that. And then there's the professional responsibility of, the image of the game. Not the image, but the example you set as a professional footballer, because, there are so many people that follow the Premier League, and we're all in a pretty privileged position, and we get well rewarded for that. But there is a responsibility in kind of what you do, and hopefully with like I said, education and awareness that there's a reason it's illegal. It's not because somebody just thought, oh, well, let's just ban this for no particular reason. There's some science behind why it is. So, like I said, he's made a poor choice. But within that context, like I said, we all make mistakes. There should always be an opportunity there for rehabilitation and redemption for every human being, including footballers. And that's up to Biss now.
And you were talking about Benson a second ago, how it's 12 months on since his injury. Often with these injuries, it takes a while to get back to him. James Maddison obviously had that injury back in November. Came back, it wasn't a massively long time out, but it's taken a while to catch the form. If anything, he hasn't quite got to that level. He missed out on the England squad. What kind of mindset has he been in since you started working with him again since pre-season? Where do you see his game?
Yeah, look, like even though it wasn't a significant injury in terms of time out, it still was significant in that, for Madders, it set him back a fair bit. And then he never, sort of, even when he came back, he had a couple of other smaller disruptions. And I think when he came back into the team, we were kind of also struggling because, which kind of doesn't help him in terms of the kind of player he is, As you said, he had a disappointment with the Euros, obviously, but he's working hard at pre-season. The good thing is he's fit and he's laid himself a good opportunity now, foundation, to have another strong season. The disappointments of, say, missing Euros, well, that's part of being a footballer. We take all the good stuff, but you have setbacks. It's how you react to those, and I'm sure he'll want to sort of go out there and get himself back into the international frame, but get back playing for England. But again, that's up to him to kind of find the right way to use that as a motivation. If you just sort of deflect or at any point kind of say, had nothing to do with me, then you miss an opportunity, I think, to kind of improve. And I've sensed with Matt as he's come back, he's really determined to have a big season, and hopefully that gets him back into the England frame. But more importantly for us, hopefully it gets him back to the form we know he can have.
Just one final question about Djed Spence. He's someone that's caught the eye during pre-season. He was at Forest on loan from Middlesbrough before he signed for Spurs. One of his big moments, I think, was scoring against Leicester in the FA Cup. It hasn't worked out for him so far here, but with Destiny only just coming back, and then you tried Djed in pre-season, a bit left back, potentially a possibility that could be involved. Can you talk to us a bit about his story during the pre-season?
Yeah, look, again, it's one of those things where, when we start pre-season, we obviously had quite a few guys who were out on loan last year, and again, part of me is always, we need to keep sort of evolving this squad, and the guys go out on loan for a reason. Have they come back? are they a better fit? Are they sort of part of what we're doing? And with Djed, I just sort of kind of had an open mind. You kind of know. I certainly think that the kind of characteristics he has as a player certainly would fit into our football. It's more about then, okay, well, he obviously didn't fit last year. Will he fit this year? And he's had a good pre-season. He's trained really well. He seems to fit in the group really well. And I think, I don't think left back is his obvious position. I think he's more of a right fullback. But the fact that he can play out in the left, I think, again, gives us some good options, into the season where, like I said, with European football, we're going to have more challenges. And it was quite obvious last year that, whenever we had, disruptions in terms of injuries or suspensions, our performance dropped a fair bit. So we're trying to narrow that gap, and hopefully having Djed as part of that squad then, allows us to do that. And like I said, he's training well. He's available for Monday, and I'll make those decisions kind of after the weekend.
Just on him, there have been question marks about his attitude in the past, but has that not been an issue at all?
Well, you would know about it if it was. He probably wouldn't be part of it if he was. But again, that's probably something that, like I said, that whether that was right or wrong, as a person, as a player, Djed's taken responsibility for that and not allowed that to be a part of the conversation this pre-season, for me anyway, or the coaches. We've had absolutely zero issues with his attitude. Like I said, he's trained really well, he's fit in with the group really well. So, that's on him. He's the one that hasn't allowed it to become an issue.
And
Hi, Ange.
Good, bud.
Just wanted to ask you about Dom Solanke. How much of a role did you have in the signing of him, and was there a particular game or performance last season that you thought this is the guy for me?
Look, my role in all the signings is pretty small. I just make the decision, mate. So I'm the one that says yes or no. So they're here because I want them here, and Dom certainly fits that boat. And no, there wasn't one performance. I mean, I thought he did well against us, and he gave us some problems, and gave us some real problems that a lot of strikers in the league maybe didn't give us problems in that. His mobility and his movement was, I thought, really impressive. There's no secret we love to press, and he's got a great work ethic, and he scores goals. He's a presence, and he scores different types of goals. I think the way we play suits us, and I really like where he was in his career. Like I said, I'm a big one on kind of understanding a person and the person's motivation, and he obviously was an outstanding young player. Got to some big clubs, but never worked out for him. And I've spoken about this already in this press conference. Is what do you do in that kind of scenario? Do you kind of just think, well, it's never going to happen for me, or do you work your way back? And he's done remarkably well to get himself back to a position where he scored 19 goals in the Premier League last year, which we all know is a fair feat, and he's got himself back to a big club. So I love that aspect, because I know I've got the right kind of mentality. So it was a whole range of things that kind of I was really keen to bring him in. I think it was just sometimes these things are about timing, and I thought it was good time for him, but also a good time for us to bring in because we have a really young group. And he's one that's proven at Premier League level, and I think he improves us.
And it must be exciting for the rest of the team as well to potentially obviously Son was playing through the middle quite a lot last year. Now he can go and play on the left hand side. It must be exciting for you to unlock that potential.
Yeah, look, I definitely think as much as the injuries at the back cost us last year, and they did cost us. That was mainly because we lost, sort of 3/4 of our back line for a big chunk of the time. I still felt it was up front we were most short, and it's still the area that I think we need to improve the most. And a lot of that was because, Richie, when he played, was outstanding, but he had a lot of injuries last year. So then we had to play sort of, Sonny inside, and, it was Brennan's first year at the club. He's only 22, his first year at a big club, and I still think he did well. Then we had to sign sort of Timo. We lost Perisic and Solomon first or second round, so we were down 2 wingers. So I really felt it was the area we needed to bulk up this off season, and having just going into the season with having Dom and Richie there, like two real good presence in that striking position. Like I said, allowing Sonny, doesn't mean Sonny can't play through the middle during the year, but I think we look a much better team when he's out wide on the left. So, that's the exciting bit that I think, as I said, we're looking for improvement. Well, we needed to improve in the front third. I think we have with bringing Dom in.
Yeah.
Just a couple more on James Maddison, if I may. Just how much of it do you feel is a confidence player that when he's on, he's on? And if you had to sit him down either last season after getting left out of the Euro squad or the start of this season, just to help him get back to those levels?
No, look, I haven't sat down with him, but I don't know what confidence player really means. I think as a player you've got to be on it all the time, mate. You can't pick and choose. If you're physically fit and you get selected, you should be buzzing. And I don't think with Matters, he certainly doesn't lack self-belief. He knows he can be a real dominant player, and I just think with Matters, a lot of it last year for us was just the physical element where, when he wasn't 100% fit, then he couldn't really perform at the levels he wanted to. And like I said, even when he came back from injury, I never felt like he reached those physical levels he had earlier in the year. So that's a real key for him. If he's training really well and kind of in good physical condition, then I think his game flows from that. That's what we're trying to do with him. We've tried to give him a really strong pre-season, try and push him in a physical way where I think when he feels good about that, then the rest of it kind of goes from there rather than sort of him lacking any confidence or self-belief.
So how much of a difference do you feel when he's playing well, he makes not just to the squad, not just in results, but like even the buzz around the squad and even the buzz around Tottenham Stadium when he's playing well?
Yeah, look, that's the reason we signed him. He's an exciting player when the ball's at his feet. He's one of those, creative types, and for most people that's what rocks their boat. Others love a big tackle and a great save, but he's definitely a player who can get punters off their seats, and I think the players feed off that as well. So it's important for us that he's playing at his best. I think he makes us a better team and a more dangerous team, and hopefully that's what we see.
Dan, and then finish with John, please.
Hi, Ange.
Hey, Dan.
I think I'm right in saying you've never failed to win the title in your second season at a club.
That's correct, mate.
And sometimes, for instance, Yokohama, there's been a really big jump from where you were in the table. Can we expect that kind of big jump this season, or is this a slower burn?
Don't know.
What do you expect? What do you hope?
I expect what I expect all the time, mate. To do my job and see what that brings, but I'd suggest it's not by accident. So we'll improve and see where that takes us.
And you spoke in May about feeling like a majority of the squad and staff still weren't true believers. I think you said the sign of true belief is if I don't come to the training ground, they're still doing the same things. I mean, where are you with that? Did you feel that everyone's kind of more on board than they were?
Yeah, no, I think you're paraphrasing me a little bit, but I think what the end of last year showed that we were still not rock solid in kind of having a real belief in what we're trying to do, and that's only natural because, like I said, and it's not unusual as you mentioned, in my first year where it takes time for these things to become truly embedded, and you've got to go through some tough times to kind of reveal those things, because unless you go through the tough times, how do you really know? But it's not like I never felt like the group were totally all in on what we were trying to do. It's just that it's still up to me to lead them through that, and I still think we're in that phase. I certainly don't feel like everything's going to sort of, not that it ever runs smoothly, you still want your hands all over it, but I've still got to be the sort of major driver in kind of becoming the team we want to, but that's okay, and that's, like I said, part of that process. But I certainly feel like I said before, we're better prepared. The players are better sort of prepared in even sort of mentally into knowing what we're going to have to tackle this year and how we're going to tackle it, more importantly, if we do go through some difficult times, which invariably we will, because every team does. And hopefully going through what we did last year means that we don't have such a huge disparity of our best and our worst.
Finish with John, please.
Just to go back to clarify for Zoom, if I can. said he's internally suspended for Leicester. Is that the end of it after that? Or is he indefinitely suspended until you bring him back?
No, like that's the sanction of the club. But like I said, irrespective of that sanction, they're still, allowing Biss the opportunity to, understand the poor decision he made and the ramifications of that, and then I'll deal with that as we move along. So, but in terms of the club sanction, that was the club sanction. It was 1 game suspended.
Do you hear what the club expect there to be criminal charges?
Mate, it's not my area, mate. And I wouldn't even bother having a discussion around that, because that's totally out of my control and external to kind of what like I said, I deal with the person, I deal with the player, I deal with what's in front of me, and we've dealt with it, I think, in the best way I feel you need to deal with these things. And from here on in now, it's about trying to help him both as a person and as a footballer make better decisions.
It's really off the wall thing, isn't it, from a football manager who's thinking about starting the Premier League thing. How do you, as a manager, come to a decision to this? How much brain power did you have to divert to this?
You'd be surprised what you need to deal with as a manager, mate. I keep saying, I sat here last year, this exact press conference, knowing that Harry was leaving, mate. I didn't break down. I wasn't in tears. I was okay. I had to go out there and train. It's part of a manager's life, right? And you kind of know with experience that, you need to sort of find ways to deal with these things so that it doesn't impact too much of anything else that's going on, because it's unfair to everyone else, because my responsibility lies within the whole organisation, and you kind of get used to that unexpected things will happen. So it's important you deal with them, I think, in the best way you possibly can with all the information you have, so I'll make decisions accordingly. And then just move on really quickly to what's really important. And what's really important is we've got a game Monday night, and for our supporters in our club, I've got to make sure my sort of headspace is getting this team ready for that.
And just finally, back to Maddison, he only scored 4 goals last season. Is that an obvious way he could improve his position and help himself?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but again, it's more about the team hitting the heights we need to on a consistent basis. Now, whether that includes him scoring goals or him creating, obviously he's a creative player, so the more goals and the more assists he gets, I guess the more effective we are in that. But that's not the ultimate measure. The ultimate measure is us as a team. That's what we're going to get measured by, not within the individual's contribution within that. So if Maddison isn't scoring, but we're winning and scoring goals and flying, then he's contributing in other ways.
But that has been part of his game.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's something that I'm sure, as I said, he stays fit and plays the football he can, particularly in our team. I'm sure he'll be a big contributor in that area.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.